The alarm bells rang through the massive space station. Red lights flashed in every hallway. Ambassador Ji-ho Kim ran as fast as he could toward the emergency meeting room. His hands shook as he carried the data pad with the latest reports. The Galactic Council chamber was full of panic. Aliens from dozens of different worlds sat in their floating chairs, all talking at once. Some had tentacles that waved in the air. Others had scales that changed color when they were scared. A few had multiple eyes that blinked in different patterns. "Order! We need order!" shouted Council Leader Mira Choi. She was one of the few humans who worked with the Council before the Great Sleep. Her voice was strong, but Ji-ho could see the fear in her eyes. The noise slowly died down. All eyes turned to Ji-ho as he walked to the center of the room. He took a deep breath and activated his data pad. A huge hologram appeared above them, showing 3 dead star systems. "The Void Collective has struck again," Ji-ho said. His voice echoed in the silent chamber. 3 more systems are gone. Completely gone. Every planet is now empty rock, no life, no energy, nothing. A tall alien with blue skin stood up. "How many people live there?" he asked. 12 billion souls, Ji-ho replied. "All dead in less than 6 hours. The chamber exploded with voices again. Some aliens cried. Others made angry noises. A few just sat in shock with their mouths open. Mira hit her gavel hard on the desk. Silence. "Let him finish the report." Ji-ho nodded and changed the hologram. Now it showed black ships that seemed to eat light itself. The collective ships moved through our strongest shields like they were not there. Our weapons did nothing. Every shot we fired seemed to make them stronger. An alien with 6 arms raised all of them. "What do they want?" "Why are they doing this?" "We don't know," Ji-ho said. "They don't talk. They don't make demands. They just come, take everything, and leave empty worlds behind." The hologram changed again. This time it showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked where the collective had attacked. A clear line pointed straight toward the center of galactic space. "They are coming here," Ji-ho said quietly. "To the core worlds. To us." The panic started again. Some aliens talked about running away to distant galaxies. Others wanted to surrender before the collective arrived. A few suggested they should all just hide and hope the attacks would stop. Taemin Park stood up slowly. He was the Council's best war planner. Every alien respected his smart mind. "I have studied every battle," he said. "I have looked at all the data. The truth is simple. We cannot win." The chamber became very quiet. Even the breathing sounds stopped. "Our fleets are designed for normal war," Taemin continued. "Ship against ship, shield against weapon. But the collective does not fight like that. They are something else. Something we do not understand." Mira's face was pale. "What are you saying, Taemin?" "I am saying we need help from someone who thinks differently. Someone who fights differently." He paused and looked around the room. "Someone dangerous." From the back of the chamber, an old voice spoke up. "There is one option we have not discussed." Everyone turned to look. Sora Lee walked forward slowly. She was very old and had worked in the Council archives for many years. Her job was to remember the history of all the member worlds. "Speak, historian," Mira said. Sora's voice was quiet but clear. "There is a protocol, a very old one. It was made after the integration wars 200 years ago. Some of the older aliens shifted in their seats. They remembered those wars. They remembered why the protocol was made." "What protocol?" asked the alien with blue skin. Sora looked directly at Mira. "The Human Contingency Protocol." The chamber became so quiet you could hear the air systems humming. Many of the younger aliens did not understand, but the older ones knew. They remembered the stories their grandparents told them. "The humans volunteered to sleep," Sora continued. "They said they needed time to become peaceful. They said their nature was too dangerous for the new galactic society we were building." "But they are just one species," said an alien with purple fur. "How could they help against something that destroyed our combined fleets?" Sora smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Young one, you do not know human history. Before they joined us, humans fought wars for thousands of years. They were very good at it. Too good." She walked to the center of the room and activated her own datapad. Old images appeared in the hologram. Images of human weapons, human battles, human soldiers who never gave up even when they were dying. "Humans think about war differently than we do," Sora explained. "When we fight, we try to win with the least damage. We follow rules. We show mercy. Humans," she paused. "Humans fight to destroy their enemies completely." They call it total war. An alien with silver scales made a disgusted sound.
That is barbaric.
Yes, Sora agreed. That is exactly why they chose to sleep. They knew what they were. They knew what they could become if they stayed awake during peaceful times. Mira stood up. Her hands gripped the edge of her desk tightly. Are you suggesting we wake them up? Wake up the humans? I am reminding you that the option exists, Sora replied. The question is, are we desperate enough to use it? The chamber erupted in arguments again. Some aliens said it was too dangerous. Others said it was their only hope. A few just shook their heads and said the galaxy was doomed either way. Jiho looked at the hologram showing the approaching collective ships. They would reach the core worlds in less than a month. Every day they waited, more innocent people would die. We have to vote, Mira said finally. All in favor of activating the human contingency protocol. The vote was close. Very close. But fear of the collective was stronger than fear of the sleeping humans. The protocol is activated, Mira announced. May the ancestors forgive us for what we are about to wake up. 3 days after the vote, Dongjin Han led a small group through the deepest parts of the council station. They walked down hallways that most people never saw. The walls here were older and thicker. Warning signs in many languages covered the doors. Are you sure about this? Asked Dr. Yuna Shin. She was the station's best medical officer, but she had never worked with humans before. The records say they have been sleeping for over 200 years. Dongjin nodded but did not slow down. The cryo systems are the best ever made. Human technology from their war days. They wanted to make sure they could sleep as long as needed. Behind them, Taemin Park and Mira Choi followed quietly. Both leaders looked nervous. They had read the old files about humans. They knew what kind of beings they were about to wake up. They stopped at a massive door. It was made of metal so thick it could stop a ship's weapons. Dongjin placed his hand on a scanner. The door recognized his genetic pattern and slowly opened with a deep humming sound. The room beyond was huge. Hundreds of cryo chambers lined the walls in perfect rows. Each chamber was the size of a small room. Blue lights blinked slowly on everyone, showing the people inside were still alive. So many, whispered Yuna. 10,000 humans, Dongjin said. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, pilots. The best of their species. They volunteered to sleep so the galaxy could have peace. Mira walked to the nearest chamber and looked through the clear window. Inside was a human male with dark hair. He looked young and peaceful. But something about his face, even in sleep, made her feel uncomfortable. They all look so normal, she said. That was the scary part, Taemin replied. They looked just like us. But they thought about problems in ways that terrified other species. Dongjin walked to a control panel in the center of the room. I will start the wake-up process. Dr. Shin, please monitor their medical readings. The first ones to wake up will be confused and possibly dangerous. Yuna connected her medical scanner to the chamber systems. Immediately, strange readings appeared on her screen. Dongjin, look at this. Their brain activity is not normal for sleeping beings. The readings showed patterns Yuna had never seen. Even in cryosleep, the human brains were active in areas that controlled fighting, planning, and survival. It was like their minds never really stopped preparing for war. Their heart rates are also unusual, Yuna continued. Even asleep, their bodies are ready to fight. What kind of species stays this alert while unconscious? The kind that survived on a world where everything wanted to kill them, Dongjin answered. He began pressing buttons on the control panel. Beginning revival sequence for Chamber 1. The blue lights on one chamber changed to white. Warm air began flowing into the sleeping space. Inside, the human's body started to move slightly. His fingers twitched. His eyes moved under closed lids. Brain activity is increasing rapidly, Yuna reported. Too rapidly. This should take hours, but he is waking up in minutes. Humans always heal and wake up faster than other species, Dongjin explained. Another gift from their violent evolution. The human's eyes opened. They were dark brown and very alert. He did not look confused or scared like most beings when they wake from long sleep. Instead, he looked around the room quickly, taking in every detail. The chamber opened with a soft hiss. The human sat up slowly and looked at the 4 aliens watching him. He was not very big, but something about the way he moved made them all step back. Status report, the human said. His voice was calm and clear. Mira stepped forward. You are Hyun Kwan according to our records. You have been in cryosleep for 203 years. I am Council Leader Mira Choi. Hyun swung his legs over the side of the chamber and stood up. His movements were smooth and controlled. Council leader. That means you are in charge of galactic government now. He looked around the room again. Why did you wake us up? There is a threat, Taman said. Something called the Void Collective. They have destroyed multiple star systems. Billions are dead. Our forces cannot stop them. Hyun's expression did not change, but Yuna's medical scanner showed his heart rate increasing. Not from fear. From excitement. How many ships do they have? Hyun asked. Unknown. They appear and disappear at will, Taman replied. Weapons. They seem to absorb energy and matter. Our attacks make them stronger. Defensive capabilities. They phase through our shields and armor like they are not there. Hyun nodded slowly. Conventional warfare has failed completely. Yes, Mira said. We have lost every battle. For the first time, Hyun smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator that had found interesting prey. Good, he said. We were getting bored. The 4 aliens stared at him. Dr. Shin's scanner showed that Hyun's brain was now fully active in areas that controlled combat, planning, and strategic thinking. You think this is good news? Mira asked. The best possible news, Hyun replied. He walked to another cryo chamber and began examining the controls. A real enemy. A real threat. Something that requires real solutions. What do you mean by real solutions? Taman asked, though he was afraid of the answer. Hyun looked at him with those dark eyes. You have been playing by rules. The collective does not follow rules, so we will not follow rules either. He activated the wake-up sequence on 10 more chambers. Wake up my team. We have work to do. Wait, Mira said. We need to discuss this with the full council. There must be a proper briefing. Forms to fill out. Procedures to follow. Hyun stopped and turned to face her. Council leader, while you fill out forms, how many more people will die? Mira opened her mouth but had no answer. The time for procedures has passed, Hyun continued. You woke us up because your peaceful methods failed. Now let us do what we were made to do. More chambers began opening. Humans sat up and looked around with the same alert, dangerous expressions. None of them seemed confused. None of them asked questions about where they were or how long they had slept. They all asked the same thing. What is the threat? Dr. Shin watched her medical readings with growing alarm. Dongjin, their physical responses are not normal. Their bodies are producing chemicals associated with extreme stress, but they seem calm and happy. That is how humans react to danger, Dongjin explained quietly. What makes other species afraid makes them excited. One of the newly awakened humans, a woman with short black hair, approached Mira. I am Kiwon Jung. According to the chamber data, you activated the contingency protocol. That means normal solutions have failed and civilization is in danger. Yes, Mira replied. Then you need to make a choice, Kiwon said. Either let us do our job the way we know how to do it, or put us back to sleep and wait for extinction. Another human, a woman named Hana Oh, joined the conversation. There is no middle ground with us, Council Leader. We are not like other species. We do not compromise when it comes to survival. Mira looked around the room. More chambers were opening. More humans were waking up. All of them looked at her with eyes that had seen too much war and were ready to see more. How many of you need to wake up? She asked. Hyun smiled that predator smile again. All of us. The council's main conference room had never been so quiet. 20 humans sat around the large table, studying data files and battle recordings. They had been awake for only 6 hours, but they already understood the Void Collective better than the galactic military had in months of fighting. Kiwon Jang stood at the front of the room, pointing to a holographic display of the collective's attack patterns. Behind her, several council members watched nervously. They had expected questions, discussions, maybe even arguments. Instead, the humans worked in almost complete silence. Pattern analysis complete, said Hana Oh from her seat at the table. The collective's movement follows a clear logic. Agreed, replied Hyun Kwan. They are not random destroyers. They are hunters following a specific strategy. Council leader Mira Choi shifted uncomfortably in her chair. What do you mean by hunters? Kiwon turned to face her. Every attack follows the same steps. First, they test the defenses. Second, they disable communication systems. Third, they eliminate military targets. Fourth, they harvest the population. Fifth, they strip the planet of all energy and resources. That sounds like normal conquest behavior, said Taman Park. A human named Sangmin Cho looked up from his datapad. No, it doesn't. Normal conquest means you want to control territory or resources. The collective leaves nothing behind. They are not conquering. They are feeding. Dr. Yuna Shin, who had been monitoring the humans' medical readings, spoke up. Feeding on what? Energy, matter, something else, said a human woman named Minji Kim. She was studying psychological profiles of the attack survivors. I have interviewed the few beings who escaped the attacks. They all report the same thing. Before they died, their people became very calm, peaceful, like they stopped caring about survival. That could be shock or fear, Mira suggested. Minji shook her head. No, fear makes beings fight harder. This was different. The survivors say their friends and family just gave up. They stopped running, stopped fighting. They walked willingly toward the collective ships. The room became very quiet. Several aliens made uncomfortable sounds. What does that mean? Asked Yuna. Hyun looked directly at her with those dark human eyes. It means the collective is not just taking lives and resources. They are taking something that makes species want to live. What could do that? Taemin asked. Something that feeds on hope, determination, and survival instinct, Minji replied. Something that eats the will to fight. Sangmian activated a new hologram showing the collective ships. Look at their technology. It absorbs energy weapons and grows stronger. It phases through matter-based defenses. Every normal military response makes them more powerful. So how do we fight them? Mira asked. The humans exchanged looks. They seemed to be communicating without words, the way soldiers do after fighting together for a long time. You don't fight them, Kiwon said finally. You kill them. What is the difference? Asked an alien diplomat with silver scales. Fighting implies rules, Hyun explained. Honor codes. Mercy for defeated enemies. Concern for civilian casualties. Protection of non-combatants. Killing implies none of those things, Sangmin added. Mira stood up quickly. Absolutely not. The Galactic Council follows strict rules of warfare. We have treaties, agreements, and moral codes that must be respected. The humans looked at her with expressions that might have been pity. Council leader, Minji said gently, those rules only work when both sides follow them. The collective does not care about your treaties. They have killed billions of innocent people, Hana added. They will kill billions more if we follow your rules. There has to be another way, Mira insisted. Some form of communication, negotiation. Perhaps they have demands we can meet. A human named Woo Jin Lee, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. We studied their attack patterns for 6 hours. Do you know what we found? What? Taemin asked. They bypass military targets that surrender quickly. They spend more time on worlds where the population fights back. They are not trying to conquer efficiently. They are enjoying the hunt. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. You are saying they attack us for pleasure? Yuna whispered. We are saying they are predators, Woo Jin replied. And the only way to stop a predator is to become a bigger predator. Dr. Shin's medical scanner began beeping rapidly. Your stress levels are spiking, but your emotional readings show excitement, not fear. How is that possible? Sangmin smiled. It was the same kind of smile Hyun had shown when he first woke up. Doctor, we evolved on a world where almost everything was trying to kill us. Other humans, wild animals, diseases, natural disasters, food shortages. For thousands of years, survival meant being better at violence than anything else. We are not proud of this, Kiwon added. That is why we chose to sleep. We knew that in a peaceful galaxy, we would be the monsters. But now you need monsters, Hana said. Mira sat down heavily in her chair. What are you proposing? The humans looked at each other again. Then Hyun stood up and walked to the holographic display. We track them back to their source. We find their home base, their breeding ground, their command center, whatever it is. And then, Taemin asked. We destroy it completely, Hyun replied. Not just their ships or their weapons, everything. We make sure they can never threaten anyone again. How many ships would you need for such an attack? Mira asked. Ships? Woo Jin laughed. We don't need ships for this kind of work. What do you need? Yuna asked, though she was afraid of the answer. Minji answered. Bait. What kind of bait? Us. All the humans said at the same time. The aliens in the room stared at them in shock. You want to use yourselves as bait? Mira asked. The collective hunts, Kiwon explained. They enjoy the chase. They like it when their prey fights back, so we give them what they want. We make ourselves look like perfect targets. That is suicide, Taman said. No, Hyun corrected. That is hunting. We make them think they are the predators. Then we show them what real predators look like. Sangmin activated a new display showing human ship designs. The aliens gasped when they saw them. These were not exploration vessels or research ships. They were weapons built in the shape of spacecraft. These ships have no shields, Yuna observed. No escape pods either, Mira added. No long-range communication systems, Taman noted. But they have enough weapons to destroy small moons, Sangmin said proudly. Why would you build ships without any safety features? Dr. Shin asked. The humans exchanged those silent looks again. Because, Minji said quietly, we never planned to come back. The human fleet looked like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. 50 ships hung in space near the edge of the Zerion system, waiting. Each ship was painted black with no identifying marks. No flags, no symbols, no names. They looked like pieces of the void itself. On the Council command ship, safely positioned 3 light hours away, Mira Choi watched the tactical display with growing dread. Are you certain about this plan? She asked Wu Jin Lee, who stood calmly beside her. Certain enough, Wu Jin replied. The collective will come. They always hunt ships that enter their territory. But your people will be completely outnumbered, Taman Park protested. Our intelligence says the collective has over 300 ships in this region. Wu Jin smiled that cold human smile. Good odds. Dr. Yuna Shin studied her medical readings from the human ships. Your crew's vital signs are all wrong. Heart rates are elevated, but they show no signs of stress or fear. It's like they are excited about the coming battle. We are, Wu Jin said simply. On the main display, the first human ship moved forward. Nari Song's voice came through the communication system, calm and clear. Hunter 1 beginning approach to the target zone. All ships maintain formation. The human ships spread out in a pattern that made no sense to conventional military thinking. They were too far apart to support each other, but too close together to avoid area effect weapons. Why are they positioning themselves like that? Mira asked. To look like easy targets, Wu Jin explained. The collective likes to surround their prey before attacking. We are giving them exactly what they expect to see. Space around the human ship suddenly began to change. The stars seemed to bend and twist. Dark shapes emerged from the void itself. The collective had arrived. 347 ships, reported the sensor operator, just like intelligence predicted. The collective ships were massive things that seemed to absorb light. They moved in perfect formation, surrounding the small human fleet from all directions. Then they stopped and waited. Why aren't they attacking? Mira asked. They are savoring the moment, Wu Jin replied. Predators like to play with their food. On the tactical display, the collective ships began moving closer. Energy readings showed they were charging their weapons. The human small fleet looked tiny and helpless in comparison. This is madness, Taman muttered. Your people are going to be slaughtered. Perhaps, Wu Jin agreed. But not the way you think. The first collective ship fired. A beam of dark energy struck Nari's ship directly. According to all known physics, the ship should have been destroyed instantly. Instead, it absorbed the energy and kept flying. How is that possible? Yuna gasped. Human engineering, Wu Jin said. We studied the collective's energy signatures. Our ships are designed to feed on the same power sources they use. More collective ships fired. The human vessels took hit after hit, absorbing every attack. Then suddenly they began to glow with stored energy. All ships, came Nari's voice. Beginning phase 2. The human ships exploded into motion, but they didn't fly away from the enemy. They flew directly at them. What are they doing? Mira screamed. Ramming speed, Wu Jin replied calmly. Nari's ship struck the largest collective vessel head-on. Both ships disappeared in a massive explosion that lit up half the star system. But the explosion was wrong. Instead of expanding outward, it collapsed inward, creating a hole in space itself. She used her ship as a weapon, Taman said in horror. She used her ship as ammunition, Wu Jin corrected. There is a difference. More human ships followed Nari's example. They rammed into collective vessels, creating explosions that tore holes in reality. Each impact destroyed both ships, but also took out several nearby enemy vessels. This is not warfare, Mira said. This is suicide. This is effective, Wu Jin replied. Watch the enemy formation. The collective ships, which had never retreated from any battle, began to pull back. For the first time in their recorded history, they seemed confused and uncertain. They don't understand what is happening, Yuna observed. They are predators, Wujin explained. Predators expect their prey to run or surrender. They don't expect their prey to turn around and bite back. A new voice came through the communication system. Sunho Park spoke from his ship as it approached 3 collective vessels. Hunter 7 beginning final approach. It has been an honor serving with you all. His ship accelerated toward the enemy. The collective ships tried to retreat, but Sunho followed them. His vessel struck the center ship and all 4 exploded in another reality-tearing blast. Your people are dying, Mira said. Our people are winning, Wujin corrected. The battle continued for 2 hours. Human ships pursued collective vessels across the star system. Every time a human ship was destroyed, it took multiple enemy ships with it. The mathematics were simple and terrible. The collective formation is breaking apart, reported the sensor operator. Many ships are fleeing the battlefield. Fleeing? Mira couldn't believe it. The collective never flees. They do now, Wujin said. On the display, the remaining collective ships were scattered and confused. Some tried to attack the last human vessels. Others attempted to retreat. A few just floated in space, seemingly paralyzed by fear. The final human ship, commanded by Kiwanjiang, pursued a group of fleeing collective vessels. Hunter 23 in pursuit of enemy survivors. Estimate 8 targets remaining. Kiwan, came Hyun's voice from the command ship. Let some of them escape. Understood, leaving 3 survivors to carry the message. Kiwan's ship caught up with 5 collective vessels and destroyed them all in a final explosion. The remaining 3 enemy ships fled toward the edge of the galaxy at maximum speed. Why did you let them escape? Taemin asked. Wujin turned to face him. Because now they will tell others what happened here. They will spread fear among their kind. You want them to be afraid? We want them to know what humans do to threats, Wujin replied. We want them to understand that if they come for our people again, we will come for them. All of them. The battlefield was quiet now. Debris from both fleets drifted in space. But the debris from the collective ships looked different. It was dissolving, fading away like smoke. The enemy ships are disappearing, Yuna observed. Their technology was connected to their life force, Wujin explained. When they die, their machines die with them. Mira stared at the tactical display. The most dangerous enemy in galactic history had been defeated. But the cost was terrible. All of your ships are gone. All of those brave people did exactly what they volunteered to do, Wujin finished. They saved the galaxy. At the cost of their lives, yes. Was it worth it? Wujin looked at her with those dark human eyes. Ask the billions of people who will now live because of their sacrifice. On the communication system, a new voice appeared. It was Hyun, calling from the human command ship. Council Leader Choi, this is to inform you that the immediate threat has been neutralized. The surviving collective ships are retreating beyond the galactic rim. What happens now? Mira asked. Now we go back to sleep, Hyun replied. Our job is done. But what if they come back? What if there are more threats? The communication was quiet for a moment. Then Hyun's voice returned, calm and certain. Then you wake us up again. 3 weeks after the battle, the galaxy was celebrating. Every news channel showed the same images over and over. The Void Collective fleeing toward empty space, their ships disappearing beyond the rim of known space. Children who had lived in fear could finally sleep peacefully. But in the deepest levels of the council station, the mood was very different. Yun Bi-yoon stood in front of a massive display showing galactic sensor readings. She had been monitoring space beyond the rim for weeks, watching for any sign that the collective might return. What she found was even more disturbing than their presence. They are still running, she reported to the small group gathered behind her. The surviving collective ships have not stopped moving. They are fleeing to the next galaxy. Council Leader Mira Choi sat quietly in her chair. She had not slept well since the battle. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw human ships ramming into enemy vessels. She heard Narisong's calm voice as she flew her ship into certain death. How is that possible? Asked Taemin Park. The collective has never shown fear before. They had never met humans before, replied So-young. Kim So-young had become the official liaison between the council and the awakened humans. It was her job to understand them, to translate their thinking for the other species. It was the hardest job in the galaxy. What did we do to them exactly? Asked Dr. Yuna Shin. Our analysis of the battle shows that human tactics should not have worked. The collective ships were stronger, faster, and more numerous. So Jung activated a new display showing psychological profiles. Strength and speed don't matter if you lose the will to use them. The collective feeds on fear and despair. They take the survival instinct from other species and use it to make themselves stronger. But humans don't have normal survival instincts, Mira said. Exactly. When a normal species faces certain death, they surrender or flee. When humans face certain death, they attack. The collective couldn't feed on human emotions because human emotions are... So Jung paused, searching for the right words. Broken, suggested Taemin. Different, So Jung corrected. Humans are the only species that becomes more dangerous when they are dying. Their evolution taught them that sometimes the only way to save your family is to make sure your enemy dies with you. Dr. Shin looked at her medical reports from the battle. The brain scans we took during the fighting show that humans experience combat differently than other species. While normal beings show stress and fear, humans showed pleasure. They were actually enjoying themselves. That is terrifying, Mira whispered. Yes, So Jung agreed. That is why they chose to sleep. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Yunbi spoke again. There is something else. We have been receiving messages from distant galaxies. Other species who heard about the battle want to know if humans are available for hire. Hire? Mira stood up quickly. Humans are not weapons to be rented. Try telling that to the Andromedan Empire, Yunbi replied. They are facing their own extinction-level threat and want to know if they can borrow some humans. Absolutely not, Mira said firmly. We will not turn humans into galactic mercenaries. Then what do we do with them? Taemin asked. They are awake now. They know what is happening in the galaxy. Do we just ask them to go back to sleep? As if summoned by their conversation, the door to the room opened. Qiwan Jiang walked in, followed by Hyun Quan and several other humans. They moved with that same quiet confidence that made other species nervous. Council leader, Qiwan said politely, we need to discuss our status. Mira gestured to chairs around the table. Please sit. We were just talking about that. The humans sat down, but they looked like predators pretending to be peaceful. Even their smallest movements seemed controlled and dangerous. We know that other species are requesting our help, Hyun said. We also know that this makes you uncomfortable. It does, Mira admitted. We don't want humans to become a weapon that gets pointed at every problem in the galaxy. Neither do we, Qiwan replied. That is exactly why we went to sleep in the first place. So Young leaned forward. What do you want to do? The humans exchanged those silent looks again. They seemed to have entire conversations without speaking. We want to go back to sleep, Hyun said finally. Our job is done. The collective is gone. The galaxy is safe, but for how long? Taemin asked. What happens when the next threat appears? What happens when something even worse than the collective shows up? Hyun smiled, but it was a sad smile this time. Then you will have to make the same choice you made 3 weeks ago. What choice? Dr. Shin asked. Whether to wake us up, Qiwan explained. Whether you are desperate enough to let monsters fight your monsters. Mira felt a chill run down her spine. You make it sound like there will definitely be other threats. There will be, Hyun said with certainty. The galaxy is a dangerous place. Peace never lasts forever. Something will always come to test you. And when it does, Qiwan added, you will have to decide if you are brave enough to wake us up again. Or wise enough not to need to. Hyun finished. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what the humans were really saying. They were offering to be the galaxy's last resort, the final option when everything else failed. But they were also warning that using them came with a price. What if we could find another way? So Young asked. What if we could train other species to fight like humans? The humans looked at her with expressions that might have been pity. You can't teach what we do, Qiwan said gently. It's not about training or tactics. It's about being willing to sacrifice everything, including yourself, to protect what matters. Other species have survival instincts, Hyun explained. They want to live. They want their families to live. They want their species to continue. These are good instincts. Healthy instincts. We have different instincts, Qiwan continued. We want to win. Even if winning means dying. Even if winning means becoming monsters. Most species can't think that way. Most species shouldn't think that way, Hyun added. Dr. Shin checked her medical scanner one more time. Your brain patterns are normalizing now that the battle is over. You're becoming more like other species. That is why we need to sleep, Kiwan said. If we stay awake too long during peaceful times, we start looking for problems to solve. Enemies to fight, threats to eliminate. Even when there are no real threats? Mira asked. Especially then, Hyun replied. The implications of that statement hung in the air like a toxic cloud. How soon do you want to return to cryosleep? Taemin asked. Tomorrow, Kaiwan said. We have already stayed awake longer than we should have. Will you answer if we call again? Mira asked. Hyun stood up slowly. The other humans followed his lead. We will always answer, Council Leader. The question is not whether we will come. The question is whether you will be brave enough to call. They began walking toward the door. Then Hyun stopped and turned back to face the group. Or wise enough not to need to, he said quietly. After the humans left, the room remained silent for a long time. Finally, So-young spoke. Do you think we made the right choice? Waking them up? Mira looked at the display showing empty space where the collective used to be. Billions of people are alive because of what they did. How can that be wrong? But we also learned something terrible about ourselves, Taemin said. We learned that when everything else fails, we are willing to wake up monsters and point them at our enemies. Does that make us monsters too? Dr. Shin asked. Nobody answered that question. The next day, the humans returned to their cryo chambers. The ceremony was small and private. No cameras, no speeches, no celebration. Just a few council members watching as 10,000 humans went back to sleep. As the chambers sealed shut and the blue lights returned, Mira felt a strange mixture of relief and dread. Relief that the galaxy's most dangerous weapons were safely locked away. Dread that someday she might have to wake them up again. Yun's chamber was the last to close. Just before the seal activated, he opened his eyes one more time and looked directly at Mira. Sleep well, Council Leader, he said, and hope that we do too. The chamber sealed. The blue light began blinking slowly. In the depths of the station, humanity slept once more, waiting for the next time the galaxy would need its monsters. Mira walked slowly back to her office, knowing that she would carry the weight of this knowledge for the rest of her life. Somewhere in the darkness below, 10,000 humans dreamed of war, and the galaxy was safer because of it.